Times are very, very unusual right now. The next 10 years will be very different from the last 10 years. Ray Dalio spent 50 years studying why empires collapse. He found a pattern that repeats every 75 years like clockwork. And buried in his research is a single insight that explains why your life feels unfair right now and how to win anyway. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly where we are in the cycle, why the system creates winners and losers mechanically, and how to position yourself on the right side of what's coming. I've put together a one-page guide that maps where we are in Dalio's cycle and the 3 questions to ask before any major financial decision right now. Link in the description. Download it because you'll need it. But first, you need to understand the 3 forces Dalio identified. And fair warning, the first one is already affecting your bank account. Here's what Dalio discovered after studying 500 years of history. There are 3 big things happening that never happened in my lifetime before, but have happened many times in history. The first is that countries are not raising taxes enough to pay for their spending, so they're borrowing a lot of money, and central banks are printing money and buying debt. The second is that there's a lot of internal conflict over wealth and values gaps, which is leading to political populism and extremism. The third is that there is a rising great power, challenging an existing great power. This is happening with China and the United States. All 3 of these things happened at the same time in the 1930 to 45 period. 3 forces, same pattern, same period in history. Dalio isn't giving you a theory. He's giving you a map of what happened before and what's likely coming next. Look at this. 1937, 1938. Same headlines, same fears, same forces. He's not warning you about some distant future. He's describing what's already happening to your purchasing power, your job security, your savings. But here's where it gets worse, because the cycle has a trap built into it. Dalio mapped what he calls the big cycle, the pattern every empire follows. At first, a country is poor, but because people are working hard together and being inventive, they increase their productivity and living standards, and the country becomes richer. As it gets richer, it becomes more powerful. It develops the world's leading financial center, and its currency becomes the reserve currency, the currency the whole world wants to save in. But at the same time, the inevitable forces of decline begin to creep in. This is where we are now. The wealth gap grows, conflict increases, the currency everyone trusted starts to weaken, and what Dalio explains next is why your savings are silently losing value, even if your account balance looks the same. This isn't about nations. This is about you, your salary, your savings, your retirement, the purchasing power you're counting on. The unfairness isn't random. It's built into the cycle itself. Stay with me. We're almost to the part that changes everything. People become accustomed to living well, so they spend more than they earn and borrow money. The country starts to consume more than it produces and runs deficits. When this gets bad enough, the country has to print money to pay its debts, which makes the currency decline. When that happens, those holding the currency lose wealth. Did you catch that? Those holding the currency lose wealth. That's you. Your savings account, your paycheck. Every dollar you're holding is quietly losing value while the debt grows. When there are great conflicts, there's a risk of some form of civil war or revolution to bring about big changes. At the same time, those poorer competitor countries that are getting stronger become real threats. The more I saw these things happen throughout history, the more obvious it became that times are very, very unusual right now. If you're realizing right now that everything you thought about money, fairness, and the economy is incomplete, you're not alone. This channel exists to decode the systems running your life. Subscribe now, because what Dalio reveals next is how the cycle resolves. And it's not pretty. And the Big Cycle Positioning Guide is in the description. 1 page. Where we are in the cycle. What to do about it. Get it now. Here's where the cycle gets uncomfortable, because Dalio explains exactly how these tensions resolve. Right now, the United States has large wealth, values, and political gaps. Those gaps are bringing about damaging conflicts and populism. History has shown that when wealth and values gaps are large and there is an economic downturn, there is a lot of conflict about how to divide the pie. In the 1930s, that led to Roosevelt, a member of the richest class, to raise taxes on the rich to the highest levels ever, about 80%, and to also increase government spending. This was to redistribute wealth and opportunity. 80% tax rates, massive redistribution, the cycle demanding resolution. And then, after the internal conflict, came the external one. Then, when there's a war, the winner emerges in a dominant position, and it all starts over again. 1930s, debt crisis, wealth gaps, rising challenger, internal conflict, external conflict, resolution. 2020s, debt crisis, wealth gaps, rising challenger, internal conflict. And we're watching the rest unfold. The cycle doesn't care if you understand it. It happens anyway. But here's what Dalio revealed that changes everything. The way to win during these transitions. Life is unfair by design, but not because the universe hates you. It's unfair because you're living inside a 75-year cycle that's bigger than any individual. The system creates winners and losers, mechanically, mathematically, inevitably. But Dalio didn't just describe the problem. He buried the solution in plain sight. Listen to what he said about who wins during these transitions. At first, a country is poor. But because people are working hard together and being inventive, they increase their productivity and living standards. Working hard, being inventive, increasing productivity. The cycle crushes the entitled. It rewards the adaptive. You can't stop the cycle, but you can position yourself on the right side of it. The people who win during transitions aren't the most comfortable. They're the most prepared. 1. They understand debt, and they don't hold assets that lose value when currencies decline. 2. They build skills that increase their productivity. Skills that can't be automated or outsourced. 3. They stay inventive while others coast, creating value instead of consuming it. Dalio spent 50 years learning this. You just learned it in 8 minutes. The question is, what will you do with it? The Big Cycle Positioning Guide is in the description. 1 page. Where we are. What's coming. 3 questions to ask before any major financial decision. Download it. Use it. Drop a comment. Where do you think we are in the cycle? I'll pin the best analysis. Dalio made one more prediction about what happens specifically to the US dollar during these transitions. And it's the most controversial thing he's ever said. I'm breaking that down next. Subscribe so you don't miss it. The next 10 years won't look like the last 10. Are you ready?